Okay, we will welcome everyone to our meeting tonight, our special council meeting. Without objection, though, today I would first like to open this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer, as well as a brief statement and a moment of silence in recognition of the 2 police officers who lost their lives in the line of duty 2 days ago. So if you'll all join me in the pledge, and then I will give a prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you'll all join me in a prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we come before Thee this night so grateful for the many blessings that we've been given. We're grateful to live in this beautiful place and the good people that we live amongst. And especially tonight, Father, we are grateful for those who serve us and put their lives on the line and who keep us protected and safe. And we would ask a special blessing to be with all of the community members who are in sorrow right now, and especially with the families of the officers that were slain, that they will be able to find peace and comfort, and that we might be able to give our support in any way that we can. Wilt Thou please bless us tonight that we can have an open mind, that we will be able to listen carefully and learn the things that we need to and discuss the budget issues that we need to discuss so that we can make the best decisions for our county. And we pray for these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Okay, before we proceed, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the profound loss in our neighboring community. 2 days ago, we lost 2 brave officers, Sergeant Lee Sorensen and Officer Eric Estrada, both of the Tremont and Garland Police Department. They made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty while responding to a domestic disturbance. Their dedication and service will never be forgotten. Please join me now in a moment of silence to honor their memory and service, as well as offer our deepest condolences to their families, colleagues, and those who love them. Thank you. We'll proceed with our meeting now. It's just been a really shocking thing. Okay, we're going to start right into the budget. And Matt, I know Amy's going to give us her compensation recommendations. I don't know if you want to do that in the middle, at the end.
Yeah, I'd like to do that at first. So
okay, that's great with me.
He told me he was going to give me a 10-second intro, and I just told him that wasn't 10 seconds.
That was only about 6 seconds.
Right?
We're good.
Half a second.
Be able to put this up on the screen. Okay, let's hope that this will work. If not, you get to hear me talk a lot.
Is your laptop
No, we're in the black. With the budget, that's good.
How about we plug it in? That might be helpful.
Different pin. I don't like that pin.
Hey, that looks good. Hang on just 1 second. Let's duplicate that, and there we go. Okay. Will it go to that screen as well, or just the one?
just the one?
Okay, that's all right. They're
you all
not
see?
going to turn around anyway. So
You all see that? Okay.
hopefully I've made it big enough that you can see it. If there is a slide that you're not able to read, just let me know, and I can jump out of the slide presentation and zoom into that slide so that we can see it better. So we met as a compensation committee over the last 2 months, and the information that I presented to them is found in this slide presentation, a condensed version for all of you. Hopefully this will help you have a view of what we've been looking at and the data that we've been looking at as well. There on this slide, what you're seeing is the policy and procedure on the left-hand side that talks about our compensation. It says Cache County Corporation will endeavor to offer fair market wages and salaries to employees at a level of parity equal to the market's midpoint or the average rate of pay based on their level of performance and their length of service within their job classification. So as we're looking at this, these are the market midpoint changes that happened from 2024 through 2026. So the way that I'm coming up with this percentage is I took the pay plan from 2024, the midpoint there, and compared it with the new data that we'll be looking at for 2026. Now you may be asking, why are we doing that and not through 2025? If you'll remember, in 2025, a market adjustment was not approved, and so a new pay plan was not set. We continued with the same pay plan that we had in 2024. So that's why the difference there.
The COLA does not affect, the COLA that we just did mid-year.
Doesn't affect the pay range. It affects where the employees fall in the pay range.
Okay.
Yep. And we'll talk about the COLA and how that affected everyone. So that's really good, Sandy. Thank you. So what we're looking at here is the airport, that top one. The difference between 2024 and 2026 is a 7% increase. And so as we look down, we can see that we do have fire that has a 1%, because we did do market adjustments for them in 2025. The sheriff non-sworn, so this is not including our deputies or sergeants or our lieutenants. This would be more of the office staff or anyone that's not sworn. There's a 4% difference between those midpoints. And so you can see where all of those are falling. The one that's interesting is IT. IT, that market is holding steady. So that's just kind of the way it is. And IT may not be happy to see that, but that's the data. So then just as a reminder, and for those of you that may be new to the council, our comparison group, this is what our policy and procedures is. They're in the blue. And it talks about that we will compare to a minimum of 8 other counties and 5 cities in the state of Utah. And this is who the comparison group is that the compensation committee decided upon. And so we compare to second and third class counties. And that's because we are kind of right there at the top of a third class and almost into a third class. And I'm being told to be quiet. Facts are neutral. Facts are neutral. It is what it is. And then the cities, the reason that we decided on this group of cities is because there are competitors, but you'll also see we have Cedar City and Layton. Cedar City was chosen by the compensation committee because we felt like it was a similar city to Logan and a similar community in that there's a college and a smaller community, not necessarily a big giant city. And Layton was because of the population and the type of community that there was as well. So those are who we're comparing to. We also pull in salary surveys using the Western Management Group, TechNet, Pay Factors, and then I've also participated in 3 different salary surveys, and by participating and giving them our information, they in return give us the results of the survey. And so I find this very valuable, even though it does take some time to give them the information. It's very valuable because we don't have to pay for that information. And so what I'm hoping to receive, and it may not be for a few months at this point because it does take some time to do these. I actually was hoping we would have it by now, but it's not looking good. But the state of Utah, Summit County, and Weber County have all asked for information from us. So that information will be good as we look into next year's budget and seeing, where things are at and aging that data in comparison of where we need to go. So this is our average market adjustment needed by department. And so this is comparing those midpoints from 2024 to 2026, and you can see what those are. So basically I took what every job title and what that person was making in that job title and compared it to those midpoints and what that market adjustment needed to be. So we can see where those are falling. So keep in mind that not all employees need a market adjustment. There's 135 that need a market adjustment. And merit increases are also based on the performance and are available to all the employees except for sworn sheriff's office because they are on a different pay plan. They're on a step and grade pay plan. So kind of some interesting numbers there that you'll see. This is, Sandy, this goes back to your comment, like how did that COLA help, right? On the left, pictures has 1,000 words, right? And so we can see that top blue line is our survey maximum. The red line is the midpoint, and then that bottom is the survey minimum. Each of those green dots represents a job title and what that average pay is for that job title. What's interesting to note on the left-hand side is how clustered those green dots are, and how they're either falling at the minimum or some are even below. Most of them are underneath the midpoint, and just a few are above the midpoint, with one barely exceeding what that salary maximum is, and that would be our public defender. And that is because we have chosen to keep his compensation as similar as we can to our county attorney. So after the COLA is there on the right in the green and yellow with that yellow midpoint line. You can see how those green dots adjusted and how they moved closer to the midpoint, which is great, and not as many are falling below the minimum, which is what we're looking for. We want to keep them within those pay ranges. And so what that COLA did was definitely help where we needed to be and get people closer to the market average and what they should be being paid according to their position and their length of service that they've been here at the county. Any questions on that before I move ahead?
You're going to send all this to us, right?
Sure.
So that we can
You bet. So you can digest?
digest it a little bit more.
Uh-huh.
Thank
I do
you.
have a question.
Okay.
So I can see on the right column, there's what, 2 or 3 dots below minimum?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a specific number of employees or a specific employee? How do we take those dots?
So those dots actually relate back to all of my other data, so I can tell you exactly which employee that is and which position it is. That's where we're looking at, we need market adjustments, and so they're falling below the survey midpoint, and we need to get them up to where it needs to be.
To follow up on Nolan's question, you said each dot represents a job title.
Yes.
Does that mean multiple people could share a job title, or is each dot represent an individual position?
Thank you. That's a very good question. Each dot represents a job title and the average pay for that job title. So it's not by each individual person, but the average pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Uh-huh.
To be competitive, what is HR's goal?
HR's goal is to be at the midpoint or above. And I wouldn't say that that's HR's goal, but that's what's in our personnel policy and procedures.
And
So
that keeps us competitive.
that does keep us competitive, yes. So any other questions about those graphs? Great. So this is the cost of living, and this is the most up-to-date information that we have going through July of 2025. This is the CPI information that comes from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The area prices were up 0.2% over the past month and up 3% from a year ago. So just an FYI as we jump into a cost of living discussion to help you understand what that's looking like and where it's going. So
Another question there.
Yeah.
CPI excludes certain things, which I believe are very inflationary. And so when you say area prices, are you comparing what's in the CPI, or are you adding in what the CPI excludes?
Like fuel.
I'm not adding in anything. This is coming directly from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, right off of their website. And so this is from the Western region, and it's comparing July 2022 to July 2025.
Okay, let me drill down deeper then. Do the area prices only contain what the CPI has, or do they bring in fuel and healthcare costs and stuff?
I would have to look at the graph and what is included in that graph, Nolan. I don't have that answer off the top of my head.
Okay, just.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
So this is what other entities that are near us or that we compare to are doing and have done in 2025. I thought that this was good information so that you can see how Cache County has done and how we compare. So in the first section there, we have 2025. We have a cost of living adjustment and what each of those entities gave. The market, most of them just gave market adjustments as needed, which is very similar to what we do. They don't give a all over market adjustment, right? Except for Utah County did do a 7%. And then a merit increase. So this would be pay for performance, and this is what's reported. So if it's blank, I don't know that they necessarily didn't give a pay for performance, it just wasn't reported. So we can see there that, we've got Box Elder County, who's right next to us, gave a 3% cost of living in 2025. We've got Hiram City right here in our valley that gave a 4%. Let's see, Logan City gave a 2%, Smithfield gave a 4%, and so forth. State of Utah gave a 3%. So you can see where that's at. With the merit increase, this would be your pay for performance. And generally, these numbers aren't a 1% for each employee, but it's probably a 1% to the overall budget, and then it was based off of what their performance was. Dave? I can see it on your face.
Really? I'm kind of curious. Could we find out, is it pretty easy to find out the number of employees in some of these counties that we are comparing to?
Sure.
Like, number of employees, even like the number of departments that there are and what departments there are. Are we?
So
are
your
we
counties
typically-
are going to be very similar, maybe not as far as employee count, but as far as the type of departments and the types of jobs. Now with cities, they're going to be similar, but a little bit different because most cities have sewer, water, electricity, right? And we don't have that. And so you're going to have different jobs there that are going to be, not the same.
They don't do
So-
elections, they don't do
Yeah, they don't do
prosecutions.
elections, yeah, those
these are-
different,
But the other counties do.
Yes, yeah. All the other counties would be structured the way that Cache County is structured. They instead of calling it development services, they may call it community services, but they have the same goal and the same duties and fulfill the same roles. So the 2026, you'll see that it's to be determined mostly on all of the counties because guess what? They're going through the same process we are right now and they don't know yet. So they're not going to be reporting anything, but the cities just went through all of their budgeting and it was effective on July 1st. And so we can see what they did. Brigham City gave a 2.5% COLA, and then they hadn't reported anything on their merit at that point when I received the information. Cedar City, one that we do compare to, gave a 2.9% cost of living adjustment and a 2.5% merit. Hiram City, which is right here in our valley, 3% COLA, 2% merit. Logan City did not do a COLA that I'm able to see, and it was about $1.25 per employee for a merit increase there. Ogden City, which is one of our competitors, definitely with law enforcement, gave a 2.9% cost of living adjustment and a 2% merit increase. The state of Utah is doing a 2.5% cost of living adjustment and a 1% merit, and then all of these are doing market adjustments as needed. And so it's hard to put a dollar amount on that and to do a comparison because what they may need for a market adjustment could totally be different than what we need for a market adjustment. So, and then Washington County to be determined on all of that. So kind of interesting there. We can see what other entities are doing and kind of how those things are falling. Any questions on any of that? We're going to jump into elected official salaries and what that looks like for other entities. So these are the counties that we compare to that would be similar to ours, and we can see where those averages are there in that top orange line. That's the average of all of those salaries. It does not include Cache County in those averages. We don't include our own data in that. And it does not include Wasatch or Salt Lake except for with the executive because those are due to a similar government and comparisons that are hard to find based off of the elected executive position. So we can see there that the average for the assessor, the average pay per year is $133,717. Our assessor is currently making $123,028. The difference between that is 8.69% or a dollar difference of $10,689. What's interesting to note is with the auditor and the sheriff, I've got 3 asterisks up there next to their titles. What that is to signal to me to remember to tell you that they have team members that work for them that make more than they do as an elected official. And so with the auditor, that's definitely the case. With the sheriff, the lieutenants are bumping right up to what his pay is. And so that's sometimes a hard pill to swallow as an elected official if those that you're supervising are making more than you and you're not being compensated similarly or equitably as what is being compared to in the market. So we can see across there, I won't read through all of the numbers, I think that you can see those, and I'll send this out for your review. The Compensation Committee recommended that elected officials be treated similarly to the employees in that the process for determining their pay be similar to the way that is determined for all employees, which is the market average. So by doing that, to bring all of those elected officials up to the market average, the total cost would be $194,438.28. Now, the attorney may say, well, that's not fair because I'm not going to be getting an increase. But we can see that he's making just above that market average and making closer to our bigger counties with Utah, Weber, and Davis being right in there that he's close to. So, however, if the council chose to do something different, these are numbers that I presented to the Compensation Committee that's down in the bottom. I just didn't change the slide out. But for your information, if there was to be a COLA of 2.5% and a market adjustment of 5.5%, which would generally be the average of what an employee may be getting with a merit and a market adjustment. You can see what those rates would be in that second section of the orange, yellow, and green. The total cost for that would be $83,206. So, and you can see what those proposed rates would be using that type of formula.
Does that include any benefits, Amy? Or is
This
that
does not
just
include
the
any
salary?
benefits. This is salary only. And all of the things that I'm talking to you about today is salary only, does not include benefits. However, in the auditor's report, he does have numbers that include the benefits. Any questions on that before we move to the next slide?
Let's go to the Herald Journal. What would you do?
Yeah, Corbin, figure it out.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I want that printed.
Should I know what? I've never said that.
Come back.
Just the facts, ma'am.
So keep in mind that the Compensation Committee's recommendation is to do the market average, which is that first colored section there in the middle for $194,438. Okay. Now as we look at council member annual salaries, and I know that this is a hard discussion to have, and so I'm just going to present you with the facts and let you digest. These are all of our part-time commissioner or council member governments that are throughout the state of Utah. The ones that I've colored in orange are all third-class county, councils or commissioners. What caught my mind and why I lost my train of thought was because Salt Lake County is also highlighted. That is not included in the average of the third-class counties. They're in the red of the $45,000 per year, but it is included in the midpoint of all of the part-time council commissions of the $40,000. So as we look at these different things, currently our chair is making $30,000 annually, and the council members are making $24,000 annually. The midpoint of all of those that are up there is $40,000. So you can see that our council is definitely one of the lowest, actually is the lowest paid of all of those councils and commissions that are part-time. The midpoint of all of those is $40,000. And the average of the third-class counties, which if we are to take the same type of comparison that we do for all of the employees, which would be comparing to our comparison group, which would include third-class counties, that would be that the salary and what the compensation committee is recommending, the salary for council members be $45,000 annually, and the chair be 20% above that, which is the formula that we have used historically ever since I've been here, and previous be 20% above that, which would be $52,000 annually. Now, I know that it's always been a discussion that you don't want to vote for your own raise, but I think it's important to note that you're not just voting for your own raise currently, but you're voting for a council member's salary and what we're looking at for when people are thinking about if they're going to run and to serve our community. And so in order to attract people that may want to do this or, are eligible to do it, this would be something that would be definitely more attractive. And I think all of you know how much time you put into your job as a council member and the effort that it takes, and it takes time away not only from your personal jobs, but also from your families. And it's important that you be compensated for the good work that you do. And honestly, I will tell you that $24,000 is not enough for what you do. So keep that in mind. And the compensation committee has had this discussion thoroughly and vetted it very well, and the recommendation is $45,000 and the chair is $52,000.
Sandy, you're right, you are the most important.
I guess.
When was the last increase for council's salary?
I don't believe it was last year, but the year before, or
It was my
22,
first year, 23,
23,
yeah. So it happened in 2022 and started
in
in
23.
2023.
Okay. So just as a recap, and I think my time is about up so that Matt can jump up here, but the compensation committee recommendation is a cost of living adjustment of 2.5% for all employees, and that except for elected, that is the $695,000. A market adjustment, 2.5% to the overall budget is basically what it works out to be. So for public employees, after the cost of living adjustment would be $266,000. The sheriff's step plan, in order to maintain his step plan, would be $210,000. Now, keep in mind that this market adjustment of the $266,000 is after the cost of living adjustment, because the formula is cost of living adjustment, market adjustment, then merit increase. And so if the council were to not take the compensation committee's recommendation and change that and not give a cost of living adjustment, the market adjustment actually would need to be, I believe it's $410,000 for public employees. So keep that in mind. Merit increases based off of scores that employees received last year and based off of a 3% merit matrix would cost roughly $435,000. Now, this is a really good guesstimate on this one because I don't know what every employee is going to get on their performance evaluation. And I don't know, well, I know where they're sitting in their pay range, but it's based off of that score and where they sit in their pay range, and then they get a percentage at that point. And then from the percentage, they have a low or a high, and the department head gets to choose anywhere between that range for that merit increase. And so when I say this is a guesstimate, it really is. And we did base it off of the most amount that an employee could get based off of last year's scores, but there could be some wiggle room there a little bit. So just keep that in mind. Then with the elected official pay, the compensation recommendation for full-time elected officials would be $200,000, and the council would be $148,000. So for a total of $1.9 million. So that's kind of where we're at with all of that. That was the big 30,000, 50,000 foot view of all of the compensation work that's been going on in my office and with the compensation committee. If you would like to see a drilled down version, you're welcome to stop by my office anytime. I'm happy to show you the workbook, the formulas, the data, anything that you'd like to see. Yes, Catherine?
I think we have some math wrong. 45,000, if we add 20% would be 54,000, I think, for the chair.
Possibly.
You know, and one other thing that, like, we have a lot to discuss, but part of the discussion, as you compare our salary to other councils and part-time commissioners, most of them get benefits on top of that, and that's not taken into account, that they get insurance, they get retirement, they are getting benefits. I think all of them that I know of do,
Right. And so
And
that's
so-
another thing to consider.
Even at part-time.
even at
Yeah,
part-time.
even at
They're,
part-time.
they're getting that added to their salary.
I believe our policy is still all no part-time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If we allow part-time elected officials to have it, then we have to offer it to part-time employees, and that cost could be significant.
When did that change?
According to our current policy, like it could
Yeah.
be changed.
Yes, but it still stands that if you offer it to part-time elected, you have to offer it to part-time employees. That's a federal law
Oh,
and a URS law,
oh,
so.
I wonder if they do that.
But on the apples to apples thing, I'm interested in, I think Dave brought up the question of the quantity of employees, because I know we have parity, we're looking for parity in the position and the title. I wonder if we have the same number of people who have that title. For, just to use council as an example, the average might be 40,000, but maybe they have 5 council members instead, so we're gonna come up with a different total, even though we're equal on.
So with the council members, this is what each council member is actually being paid. So this is not an average of 5 council
Right, right.
members, but as we look at each individual, yes.
Sure, yeah, I'm just saying that the pot of total funds is gonna be higher if you have a 7-member council, just like if you have 30 janitors at one place versus 20 at a different county. Like, the position is still gonna pay the same, but maybe the total budget allocated to it is gonna be different.
Sure.
So, and then the other thing that's that's outside your prerogative, but also how much each county is taxed and the residents, and how much goes into them covering the salaries. of
That's
said-
available in the State Tax Commission has those tables.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have those. And the other, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
thinking also, it would be nice to see the population in those counties. Like, these guys are
per
making,
capita.
these guys are making this much money, but they only oversee, 20,000 citizens in their county.
Right.
Right?
Well, and
Or-
that's
or-
why I've highlighted what the third-class counties are. So the third-class counties are going to be a similar population to what we are. Actually, we're the highest of the
they
third-class
could be
counties, so
far
they're actually
less.
going to be less.
Yeah, they could be
So-
far less.
So, I mean, take that into consideration as you're looking at that, and Cache County is paid the least. So,
This is helpful for me, thanks.
you're welcome. Any other questions?
Thank you for all that work, Amy.
Yep, you're welcome. Okay.
Thank you.
Matt. Tag team, over to you.
It takes a lot to put all that stuff together, Amy. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really does.
Thank you.
Dave, didn't the council get health insurance a while back?
One time did they have,
When I was a teenager, that was like either take
Thank you, Brittany.
insurance or take compensation.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know Gordy came on because it would give him some insurance.
really? I wonder when that changed.
I think it was one or the other. Then the federal law changed or something, I don't know. They had to, because it's part-time, they had to.
Swipe it up.
Can we turn those lights back on, Bryson, please? Oh, thank you. These are little numbers.
Council members, as I discussed last week, there are several versions of the budget. There's what we call the level 2 budget, which is the budget that the department heads submit. That's what these numbers are predicated on. And then eventually the executive will submit a tentative budget. That's a level 3 budget. And then you as council members will decide on a final budget. That's our level 4 budget. This is a level 2 budget with an asterisk. I did make one change. Right now, you can see the 2026 requested budget expenditure is $920,391. That's just above the, my mouse pointer. Initially, that number was $15 million higher. The senior center had asked for $15 million for, to build a new building. We're still in the middle of a feasibility study, and that $15 million is we don't have actually a bid from an architect. That was purely a guess. So for purposes of this discussion, I've put that to the side. And we're looking at just essentially the $69 million total expenditure level 2 budget that the department heads are asking for.
And does that include the compensation numbers that you were given from Amy?
It does.
That does. Okay.
With benefits.
With benefits.
Okay.
Any other major capital requests?
There are $4 million of capital requests in that number right there, in that $69 million. I'm going to take just 1 second, since you brought it up, and $4.8 million in capital requests. And since we're on that subject, let's just maybe take a minute and talk about what those capital requests are. Fire and ambulance is indicating that they've requested $1,048,500 in capital. You can see on that screen the particular items that make up that capital request: cardiac monitors, an structure engine, a new ambulance, and some leases on current vehicles. Any questions on fire and ambulance? And we've got the fire chief here if you do have any questions. Okay?
Are the cardiac monitors for us as a council?
You're going to need them here in a minute. We have him here for a reason, because he might be needed later when we get into.
I do have a question. If and when we go to the fire district, how much more capital are you going to need? Have you any idea?
That's a good question. It really comes down to what we set that low levy rate at to start with, and then how much kind of the gap analysis comes back and shows that we need in capital expenditures for facilities as well as some of those other pieces. Right now, the current age of our structural engines, our turnover rate was kind of set to be around 20 years. We have some that are approaching 27 right now, so we're a little bit behind on that. And then with our water tenders, that should be about in that same threshold of 20 years. It's about 23 on average.
I get scared of fire district tax, our tax, and school tax.
The assessor has asked for one new vehicle to rotate into their unit of vehicles, $36,100. Senior center, again, that's where that $15 million would be. I took that out. From their nutrition budget, they're asking senior center for $89,000. There is a Meals on Wheels vehicle, the oven refrigerator package for that vehicle, and then a second vehicle and oven refrigerator. So two.
Matt, I was under maybe I'm wrong, but I know they got a donation where they were going to get 3 of those vehicles paid for by that donation, and I believe these are 2 of them. Is this in addition to the other 3 that they're getting?
I couldn't speak to that. When I spoke with her last night, when I spoke with Giselle last night, she'd indicated that, yeah, they were requesting 2. I don't know if they've got funding. Actually, I should back up. Yes, that's a great question. In fact, let me.
Because I think there's one other one in their other section.
If we were to sum total the capital requests that the department heads are asking for, that's $4.8 million. However, the effect on the budget is only $3.5 million. That's because $1.3 million of the cost of the capital request is coming from other sources. So that may well be that's one of your grant issues. But,
Yeah, I think those are.
But, so yeah, if you were to look on the,
tell
I was
tonight?
just going to say, the senior center, these 2 vehicles, to my knowledge, are in addition to the 3 that they got donations for to purchase this year.
Oh, okay, okay.
You're very welcome.
So if you look on the report where I said, I pointed out a minute ago that we had $69 million in requests, that includes the $3.5 million figure for capital. But again, we're actually purchasing or having a request for $4.8 million.
Is this,
Is that request or revenue?
yeah, is that request or revenue, the 69 million, Matt?
That's expenditures.
That's expenditures.
Revenue is the same because we have to balance the budget.
Okay,
You get to the same number by, in this particular case, either raising taxes or utilizing some of your fund balance. We'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
okay.
Or cuts,
Or
cuts, right?
cuts.
Okay, give us 3 options, please.
One area in capital, and Sandy and I were just visiting with this department earlier. One area in capital that I think we could look seriously at reimagining or cutting, to Dave, to use your perspective, is fairgrounds. They've asked for $430,000. Given the shortfall and the challenge that we have everywhere else, my suggestion would be that we send these capital requests to the RAPS side. We have a dedicated tax, the RAPS tax, and Fairgrounds has been successful in getting those funds in prior years. And ultimately, that decision is yours as the council anyway. But I think we could save at least $400,000 from the general fund by funding these from RAPS.
Matt,
Yes.
once again, I do appreciate you looking out for opportunities to do that. I think, as we talked about last time and kind of about our different roles, I think we all were under the agreement that the executive's office is really where it should start as we transition from level 2 to level 3. So if it's all right with you, Sandy, I do want to hear from Dirk and what their recommendations are, what they've been able to come up with as far as
Yes.
cuts or pushback or department adjustments or.
And that'll happen next Tuesday. We will receive our tentative budget from the executive. I think Matt is just trying to lay out where we're at this particular point in time. That
Hey, Matt, hold on a second.
Yes, sir.
a lot of things can change.
So when it comes to capital, and we're talking to replace a skid loader, and backhoe's not there, and replace Kubota, I see on the Kubota, 5-year cycle. So do we have a policy when equipment can come up, or is it just based on, I think I want a new skid loader?
That's exactly what it's based on. I think I want a new skid loader. This skid loader,
Change that.
Agreed.
this skid loader that we're talking about replacing was purchased in 2023. It only has 1,200 hours on it. We've spent $2,500 year-to-date in maintenance. We have another $1,000 in expected maintenance. I think you raise an excellent point, and with deference to Keegan, I think we could absolutely hold off on pulling the trigger on this.
I go to tax citizens, and I'm looking at farmers, I'm driving an old tractor, and I got a tractor with 8,000 hours on it, and I'm still going and happy. So I'm hoping that when we look at capital replacements, there's a policy there rather than just saying, a new one looks nice.
Yeah, like we might make exceptions, but there's guardrails and guidelines for making those kind of decisions, so they are more objective and routine,
Yeah,
procedural.
refresh program, just like in IT should be the same. Or this.
Moving on then, any more questions on fairgrounds?
No, I hope we apply that in any equipment, in any capital thing, that there needs to be.
So,
I just hate to see some of these equipment, we're doing fine. I hate to see them compete against employees and being able to provide, because we lose employees to another place. Usually the Kubota don't run off.
true.
I'm serious.
No, and I think,
You know, those kind of things, you really, I sit there and go, you know, maybe you can do less than capital, less than things to maintain, and that money then, you know, would help in keeping employees.
And I've spoken, for example, I've highlighted roads department here, and I've got my cursor on the road grader for $460,000. I believe they told me that the piece of equipment they want to replace has over 5,000 hours, and is proven to be very expensive in terms of repair. So I think Public Works, I give them a lot of deference. I've asked them, I've questioned them closely, and particularly, for example, on this road grader and the equipment that goes with it. I really do think they've run out that piece of equipment.
Okay, I think when that comes up, that they gotta tell the executive, this is why we're coming that way. I mean, I've driven diesel tractors for a long time, and I was always told at the 8,000 hour, I'm starting to look at maybe some repairs. But prior to that, diesels go for a long time.
The one, and the one item I think in roads we could discuss would be this pickup truck here. So,
And just so you guys all know that Dirk and I and Matt met with Bart Esplin earlier, and I think a lot of those conversations we can have with department heads, and just said, can we work together as partners here, and can you really recognize and appreciate where we're at budget-wise? Can you get by without another Kubota this year? Can you get by without that skid steer? Like, you know, we don't want to put them in a position where they can't do their jobs, and we also have to find that sweet spot of balance between, if we put it off too long, it's going to cost way more in repairs, or we're going to be in a situation where we're in trouble. And so I think having those conversations with department heads and just helping them to empower them to say, hey, what can you do to help us? Can we cut back a little bit instead of being, I think we need to have some guardrails and some specific policies too. But I think that comes through all of us communicating really well with our departments and with the executive's office, with their departments, and.
Well, I hope they're looking at it, because a 2023 skid steer needing replaced is not what I want to see.
Yeah, I think we came to that agreement with
Not what I
Bart.
want to see either, and quite frankly, don't even want to be put in that position where it even gets as far as the council prior, right?
So, well, there's a lot of those discussions that can be had, and
Let's halt it by the department head, and if it's not halted by the department head, let's have it halted by the executive, and then it finally gets to the council after it's gone through 3 layers of
In a
filtering
perfect
and
world,
vetting.
that's the way it should be, right?
Yeah.
you can see we've got a capital request here of $101,000 total from building and grounds. Any questions that I can?
I had a question on that one, but again, this is gonna have to go through the executive's office. But $60,000 for a shed for maintenance, that seems like a really expensive shed, too. And two, where have they been keeping the stuff in the meantime? Is that something that could be discussed with their department? And when I looked at their asks, that most of them seemed pretty reasonable, but $60,000 for a shed. And that may be something, again, we just need to be educated. I just don't understand that one. I saw that earlier.
It's kind of a fact that you could go get that same shed for 12,000. But all of a sudden all of a sudden when government goes to build a shed, oh my lands, it just seems like it just never ends with all the, I guess all the little stuff that it has to happen and what they have to follow to be compliant to this, and this. That's what takes a $12,000 shed, turns it to $60,000. Actually sad, but that's often what happens.
But I think, again, this is so important to have that department to speak about this, and when we have these kinds of conversations, so that it's not in a vacuum.
I think it's just a wonderful introduction, and then we'll see what
Agreed.
you see what the executive comes in and.
Yeah, and if the executive wants to
ground.
advocate for something that the department head recommends, then
Yeah.
I'd love to hear it from them, so, because then they've researched it and they've talked about it, and
I'm elated to see
Has-
something like this in August.
it has more context.
Me too, this is awesome, is all I can say.
Yep.
We have never had this, so thank you, Matt.
Absolutely, thank you. And then the last capital requests here, we see IT at $51,005, and sheriff looks like he's doing some maintenance on the jail. It's that age. I think is it approaching 20 years in age? It's great, well-designed, great structure, but we're doing a little maintenance that would be expected due to its age. All right. Going back to this $69 million expenditures, and this is a subject that I'm going to approach differently than I would have approached 3 days ago. It is impossible to understand the $69 million expenditure without understanding the cost of public safety in this equation. The county spends 47 cents of every dollar in public safety. In this budget for $69 million, the public safety component is over $29 million of that. Now, before I was auditor, I spent some time as a justice court judge while I was in my accounting practice. 15 years ago when I was signing search warrants or on call for search warrants, you'd see generally requests for a DUI search warrant, run-of-the-mill garden variety. That's changed over 15 years. When I left that position, commonly the search warrant requests we were seeing were for child sex materials, child pornography that had been tracked down through Homeland Security and was being reported to us, and similar problems among the youth. So you can understand then when I tell you that in order to provide defendants with their constitutional right for a public defender now costs us in excess of $100,000 a month. That's $1.2 million a year. Providing the jail with an on-call physician's assistant, as we are required to do, is by itself, I think, $123,000 a month. That's over $1.3 million a year. So, and that doesn't, of course, include the cost for ammunition, and every month I'm signing requisition requests for body armor, which, again, in the last 48, 72 hours, we can see it's just a more dangerous world. And that translates particularly in costs for the Sheriff's Department. As I said, they're 47 cents of every dollar. They're nearly $30 million of this budget. Of that $69 million, we had to do a raise this year, a mid-year raise, because law enforcement agencies along the Wasatch Front were successfully recruiting away some of our best officers. When you see that shortfall, understand that over $4 million of that is from our necessity to give those officers a competitive wage. And I know that, frankly, that law enforcement would prefer I not discuss that, because when that comes out and the officers are doing their job, and the deputies are going around in the community doing their job, they get a lot of anger. They get a lot of pushback from people who give them a hard time about the fact that we pay them a competitive wage. But again, as events...
Because we pay them a competitive wage.
They're angry because we pay them a competitive wage, and they're angry because of the cost on their taxes.
I'd argue if we've even got them competitive when you hear what they're working for and the time and the stuff they put up.
When you consider the things they have to put up with, I mean, just looking at the child pornography issue, they have to look at those images when they're processing those warrants. And then, of course, they risk their lives on a regular basis, as we've seen. Currently, then, we began 2026 with a fund balance of approximately $21 million. That's what we began, or excuse me, that's what we expect to begin 2026 with, is a fund balance of $21 million. Keep that in mind. Let's discuss, let's get to why we're here tonight. That $65 million expenditure, in order to balance the budget, will require use of funds of $7.9 million. That's a shortfall of $7.9 million. And again, the key to understanding that is the fact that we live in a much more dangerous world, and we have to pay for that. I've suggested there are immutable number of scenarios that we could, or permutations that we could look through, but I suggested for a starting discussion point, there are two ways we could approach that $7.9 million shortfall. One would be to consider addressing that entirely through a property tax increase. Property tax funds about 25% of our $69 million, so $21 million. So if we were, and it's really the only funding source that you as the council have the opportunity to readily adjust. That's your only option for increasing revenues. If we were to increase property taxes to address that shortfall, it would be a 36% property tax increase. The average tax value of a home in Cache County is $294,000. That would be $127 a year.
Wait a minute.
That's the taxable value, like after they get their homeowner's
It's not the market
exemption.
value.
Yeah,
Not market, yeah.
not market value.
Keep in mind, they
Taxable.
get 50%.
Gotcha.
Yeah, okay.
Settle down.
I thought the same thing, Nolan, until I thought it through.
I'm sitting, look, I got
No,
fire myself right now.
none of this, these are just ideas.
These are
Yes,
ideas.
it is.
Don't publish these on the front page
These
of the
are-
paper, because we are just in the beginning stages of.
Dave Erickson considers 36% increase. Got it.
But I will say, Cache County School District just raised their taxes average of $158 per home, just to keep that in perspective.
Yeah.
That hearing is a week from Thursday, just.
That's
throwing
hearings
that
a week
out
from
there.
Thursday.
Yeah.
You need to have everybody there.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, it hasn't passed.
28%.
No, but
that's a pass.
Well, and then onto this, how soon do we have to throw a fire district tax in?
Well, I think you were about to make a point. 36% is one choice.
6% is one
You can
choice.
tell we all love.
yeah,
The second best is what?
Keeping in mind, we started the year, or we will anticipate starting 2026 with $21 million in fund balance and savings. If we took, for example, a half and half approach and raised taxes to cover $3.9 million of the shortfall and used our fund balance for the other $3.9 million, we would expect then to end 2026 with only $17 million in savings, but you'd only be looking at an 18.8% property tax increase or $66 for a tax increase on the average Cache County residents.
Is there any way of finding out when Cache Valley had all the floods and we had to dip into our fund balance to cover roads and bridges and everything else, what that cost us? Because I'm leery of that dropping when we don't know what.
what emergencies.
What a
are-
catastrophic event would cost, yeah.
Well, and the trend, you're right to be leery because the trend has been downward and downward and downward for years. We were in the high 20s, low 30s, not all that long ago.
What were we, do you know what we were before we got the ARPA bump though? Because that was 10 million that we were able to put it, was it 10 million?
Approximately.
We'll look that up for you.
And here's, isn't there a recommended
ARPA's messed us up.
percentage of your total budget that you should have in savings, and where are we at in comparison to that recommended average? Do
There's a
you know?
statutory minimum,
Okay, statutory minimum?
and I don't have that right in front of me, but it's
Maximum.
something that I penciled in the other day to look at.
Yeah, there's a
And
maximum
maximum.
too, I
There
believe.
is, we're nowhere near the maximum.
The maximum would be like 30 something. I remember we did
That's
that
very
at one
reassuring,
point.
thank you.
It was 30.
But,
So this is even after we implemented the sales tax and including we have 3/4 of the sales tax that we've collected for this fiscal year. So next year we'll have the entire year collected.
Which should represent about 10 million, right?
and this is after that, keeping in mind that most of that sales tax cost went to public safety.
As you said, Sandy, we need
The
to.
additional
adjust
cost,
percentage.
the legislature mandated that we have officers at every school for protection, understandably.
And therefore you don't.
But that was an
you don't
unfunded
see any big
mandate.
Increase in that budget.
And that
Because
is,
they're
and that is represented here in the sales and use tax on the, no, 'cause that's not a different amount.
If
Where would
you're,
we find that on the, revenue?
Is it the 9.4?
you would find that in the sales tax dash public safety,
Yes,
that for
6.3?
2020. So I was conservative. I'm conservative politically, but I was conservative here in addressing this. You'll notice that I dropped the sales tax revenues by 5% in 2026 compared to 2025, because I'm concerned that we may be looking at a downturn in the economy. And I didn't want to bank on money that I'm not sure is going to be there.
and so does that include that's using essentially 75% of the total collected into this budget, and where's the other 25% of
That
that?
$6.3 million is 100% of it. We have not split it out.
No,
Sorry,
26 we did.
the 26 you split it out?
Yep, so for
Yeah.
2025, the 6.6 million is 100%.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we expected.
In 2026, that is 75%, and the 25% is in Fund 260.
So we corrected that where it
So
said
it's-
9 million last
so
time.
is it included in here as a
Oh, this is Fund
revenue?
100. So
Okay, so it's
that,
in another. it's
that
260.
transportation, yeah, we moved that down. Thank you for,
Okay, good.
Yeah, to a different.
but yeah,
line.
that 6.6 million for 2025 is
That's not in our general fund, okay.
is the whole thing. And we're going to have to split that, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we need to
in
redo those
budget amendment.
percentages.
Yeah.
We
So in
recognize
your
that.
conservative world of being, in case the economy turns down, we need to be thinking about that, the effect on the taxpayer as well.
Yes.
So of that 7 million deficit, I hope the executive's office is in there with a sharp pencil,
Closer to 8.
showing us some cuts of what we pointed out on capital for tractors or skid steers or whatever else, because holy shkabolis,
I'm sure Dirk and David can be counted on for 5 million.
others to say.
That sounds like lasagna.
Yeah, you're right. 7 million is the first, or 7 is the first digit, but it's 7.9, so we may as well say 8.
So we have two options, the 36 increase, the option 2, half and half. I mean, we have a million options.
We have a
but
million.
Those are the ones that
And
are on the table.
For discussion purposes, that's what I put
I
out.
think, well, and then what I'm hearing from the council is we're highly interested in option 3, which is the with cuts.
But if I could gently touch on that, again, 47% of our costs are in law enforcement.
Right.
So you've got to find your cost savings.
Take 4 million away from 8 million, which is what the public safety, so 4 million, I hope somebody is reviewing the next week, cutting some of that 4 million.
A lot of that's
But I
like
think
the
what you're
tax-
saying
the
that is
salary increases we
probably
just
don't
talked about.
expect the 18 on option 2 to go down.
Put another way, forget about the departments. If you just look at the $68 million, 31 of that is salaries.
Catherine just brought up something too, that, the growth. Is there, I think you had told me that the growth for this year was about $540,000.
$541,000 in new growth.
What do we expect next year to be similar to that? And is that at least in here as an estimate of at least what we did last year?
So the 20 million, so if you look on this report,
Yeah.
page 1, current property taxes, $20,141,500. That includes that $540,000.
Okay, I see that. And then the 450 in that RDA, is that, did you get ever an answer?
I did get some information. I don't like the way it's accounted for here.
Okay,
But we get $450,000 in, I guess you could call it revenue. I prefer to call it a trust fund, of which we owe 85% right back out.
Oh.
I would prefer to account for just the net 15%. But we just haven't had a chance to get to that policy.
that makes more sense.
So that $450,000 of revenue, there's an offsetting amount down below
Of
for,
which only 90,000 of it actually can be used in the budget.
Not even 90, I would say. Probably
90%
about
of it goes
60,
out.
maybe 60%.
We get to keep some as a administration fee.
Okay. All right. This is a sobering,
Brittany has an answer to the question that you'd asked earlier.
okay?
So, the question was asked where the fund balance was before we received ARPA money. So I pulled up our financial statements from 2019, and in 2019, we had an unassigned, which means unrestricted fund balance of $8,314,779. And then in 2020, when we received our ARPA funding, that unassigned fund balance increased to $16,012,910.
Almost doubled.
Okay,
And then, but I think we got
What
our
was
ARPA
our-
payments in two, and I can't remember if they came
Two
in the same
tranches.
year or not.
Yeah.
and if you can see this, what was our total budget? Just for comparison. Again,
In 2019.
in 2019, I know this might be unfair to ask right now, but,
We can
okay.
pull-
It's all on our
Just
website.
give us a minute.
yeah.
Yeah,
Talk
I was
amongst
gonna say,
yourselves.
the other thing I'd be interested in is seeing the historical budgets over the last 10 years and the percentage tax increase over the last 10 years as well.
There hasn't been one until yesterday, till last year.
funds to just pad it.
So you would
I
did
think
total
the
just
rate
in the
had gone
general
down
fund?
for 12 years in a row. They hadn't raised taxes
Expenditures just in the general fund.
till last year.
So, I mean, we're still.
I know.
Context, I think, for the citizens to be aware of.
But,
You can only imagine what some of the counties that are heavily public lands.
I know.
Extremely heavily public lands, what they're trying to do on money that may come in, may not come in.
The
think
central-
city
central
lied.
assessed.
And look at, we have to talk to our legislators too, because look at what all the unfunded mandates
Tax
in one year, what they do to us in just 1 year, because
Be the one
we
you're
don't
talking
have a lot of options for revenue
Public
How do you
meetings
raise
to
money?
suggested
draw, yeah,
maybe
to
they just
be able to
dissolve
fund those.
They said they were sorry.
I mean, that, sorry is really helpful,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
it's really helpful come budget
not an
season.
level.
Yeah, it's
Well,
helpful.
and some other counties have a lot of secondary homes, like resort-type areas that they have, that they can tax higher rates at.
Well, and we're
How you gonna
missing
get
that,
Nolan going?
But I
we're
mean,
missing that
we
up
see it
in
with district courts, we
Hardware
see it with,
Ranch
yeah.
and Flat Road, everything, every one of those are second homes.
Yep.
Well, let's
And
go find them, get on that side by side.
Not on the, they're not on the tax roll correctly.
Tax roll
Yeah.
correctly.
I don't
But-
think we even
Tax shift.
permitting them correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at
exactly.
with like the district courts, and then we have to fund another prosecutor there, and then we have to provide, the public defenders, and, I mean, that balloons exponentially
Every year.
to be millions more.
you have an answer to your question?
Okay,
Sorry. Okay, in 2019, our executive budget that's online as 2019 executive budget says it's $29,840,500.
and we're up to 69 million now?
And they had 8 million
And
in
they had 8 million in reserves?
Wow, so they have a third of their budget in reserves.
And then in 2020, our requested budget
We served it.
was $31,830,700.
I don't
And we had
remember
16
the
million in
increase.
fund balance.
Wow, our budget has doubled since 2021.
Yeah, if you look at COVID year.
Yeah,
there's a lot of-
and the inflation, and the taxes have not kept up.
And they had a third of it in fund balance. I mean, look, if we had a third of this in fund balance,
We'd have 20.
You know,
we're
another
doing
interesting
okay then.
point
I
would
mean,
be,
we're doing okay then.
another interesting
If we don't
point
have to use it.
would be to have the assessor come in and talk about when do we get to switch from taxing the residential and the private citizens so much and move it over to a commercial?
Commercial,
Because
he's
that,
working on that. We talked about that
does
the other
flow
day.
around.
I think partially it will, but he was thinking there was gonna be a lot of,
Appeals.
appeals. I think he's doing a lot of that this year.
That harkens back to the full-time surveyor discussion too that we had in February.
Yeah.
We need to revisit that discussion too, huh?
Yeah, there's some interesting things going on in the legislature right now, new legislation that was just proposed this week, about a surveyor position that Dirk's working on and Amy.
Okay.
Which would need to be accounted for in budget too, because that's not
I think that,
a higher
well,
salary position, right?
yeah, Amy, sorry to interrupt. The surveyor we talked about that we needed to hire, is that anywhere accounted for in this 2026 budget?
Yes.
It is, okay.
And I know it's not zero sum because we are paying freelance right now.
Yeah,
but
but
that-
they made
but-
us, they made it
Do
to
we-
seem that we're still going to be paying a lot of contract work.
Would it be
Yeah, we're
nice,
not gonna get a break by hiring.
it'd be nice to know what the offset is, though, that it's not the
Yeah.
full
That
impact of the
was
salary,
presented.
right?
it was
That,
like-
that was presented when we looked at that.
Yeah,
Yeah, a third of the
Yeah,
cost, but not,
okay,
not.
yeah, that's what I'm after.
Yeah,
That we'll get a lot more efficiency and a lot more things that really need to be done that aren't being
Just
done.
backlogged.
Because we have somebody, but the actual things where you have to have specific equipment, we can't fund, that'll be contracted out, so,
Yeah,
I guess.
okay.
Okay. All right, what else do you need to know, Matt?
One thing I thought of is back in 2020 and 2019, we did not have the road department and weed department in the general fund. They were in the municipal services fund budget.
Oh, got it.
So that would account for
A big portion.
not doubling our budget, but a couple more million, so.
And why do we put them in the general?
I don't know all of the things that kind of came down to it, but I thought we kind of went back to what was in the state code, and I think we got.
Yeah, there was a big argument of where we get to draw the municipal and the road funds from a taxation point from the cities and that, so they made us adjust it. That was when I first came on, so that was a big debate as to how we were gonna do that.
Because we have a pretty healthy fund balance in municipal services, don't we?
I don't think it's in this
I thought it was
paper,
like
but
10
I,
million, wasn't it?
yeah, I thought it was over 5 million.
Well, of the general fund balance that I gave you, which was 21 million, that's unrestricted fund
That's
balance.
unrestricted.
Yeah.
The restricted fund balance was closer to 25 million?
Are all the revenues that are created, for example, when they do asphalt for the cities, the revenue, the jail, all the revenues for the jail, they're all included?
You can see a lot of them in here.
You can see a lot of them,
Yeah,
but
inmate housing,
Yeah, they're-
bailiff.
I think there's
fees,
some of those things, especially,
payments.
where it's really interesting that the cities are coming after us like crazy for paving and for, and doing roads and things like that, because
We're a screaming deal.
we're a screaming deal.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that we want to push that out, but I think that.
But in fairness-
We need.
Fair, yeah.
Yes, we need to at least be somewhat competitive.
Yeah, if we're gonna pay fair market wages, we should charge fair market prices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Brittany, do you know which account number the municipal services fund is?
It's 200.
200.
200. Thank you.
And that was just an example, because I think there's other things, I think even in the weeds, they're doing those commercial, basically they come to a commercial line and doing a lot of, because of the licensing on things, they're able to do a lot of the moss treatment and things like that other people can't. I think we need to make sure that we're charging competitively for that, rather than making it a good deal for everybody. Because I think that it's just, there are people that take advantage of those things. Not all of them, but we just need to be competitive to make sure that we're covering.
Across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's our next step?
Level 3, the level 3
Level 3
budget.
executive recommendations?
Yeah.
If I could, at some point here, the next week, by the 26th, you probably need to make a decision about a truth in taxation, whether or not you're going to go with. So in terms of most time sensitive, I would respectfully submit that that's probably your most time sensitive issue.
Well, pretty
Is
much we all,
publishing a potential rate for our truth in taxation hearing.
Setting it at the max rate that you're willing to go, basically.
Yeah.
And then knowing that we can drop it down.
But keeping in mind, when we do publish it, that's the rate that sticks in people's mind.
Yep.
Because we took the heat for a 20% increase, even though we didn't do a 20% increase last year.
Yeah.
That's the rate that everybody still thinks they got,
That was
think they got.
the entire purpose behind this discussion tonight, was
This
to
is the sentence for
give
that,
you a
whether
chance
or
to
not
think
you
about it.
permit it. Yeah.
Exactly. Excuse me, Matt?
That's the entire purpose tonight, was to try and get these numbers to you as early as possible, so you'd have a week before you have to make a decision.
Keep
Isn't that nice
it in
of us? 1 week.
perspective. Okay.
you need to bring Pepto-Bismol with your presentations, Matt.
I told you that we would need the chief here, just in case,
Yeah,
you need
chocolate.
one of those cardiac
Got
machines.
chocolate, we should have brought chocolate.
Well, if you're gonna get hardcore, let's go Mountain Dew and Pepsi now. So.
I got my Pepsi,
Whoa.
I'm good.
To me, it is still very important that we look at some things that statutorily aren't necessary, that we are doing, so.
Yeah, and I think
And-
like you
and
said.
in that,
the-
it would be good to see what statutorily, if we could take into another fund. Like if there are things that we could put into.
I would like to be over
municipal
the
services.
non-departmental fund. That looks to me like there's no accountability, you just non-departmental, you can do whatever you
What page is
want.
that on?
No, it's just that non-departmental fund. That tells me, who is that? Is that a secret person? Is that a secret society?
We replaced our miscellaneous departments with the non-departmental.
I know, but I would like some more. I need to know really all the details of that, because little things like that add up. And I know they're shared. I guess they're shared type things, but still. We have full-time employees. Apparently, we have some good non-departmental employees that are full-time employees, 191,000, that are non-departmental. They are free floating, man. They are.
Yeah, I think it'll be good to have the minimum and the maximum and the recommended too. For that 21 million.
Or you may, I'm looking actually, I might be looking up above.
With this, how much of this is coming from?
Yeah, so that's the total line.
Put the 200
Yeah.
That's
because it's cheaper than
above it. I'm
county.
sorry, I'm looking at the different, but,
So yeah,
yeah. But all those other things, miscellaneous,
non-departmental is
Yeah.
USU Extension,
Should be able to go
right?
into,
Yeah, USU Extension, bee inspection, soil, water conservation districts.
how much of the road maintenance?
Yeah.
Again, road
All,
maintenance.
all the,
indigent,
all the
I'm
things that
sorry,
are not
I looked at it down, I went from there down, so.
I mean, some of this, I think, if we have
My
a fund
fault,
balance
sorry.
and. Right there is
Okay.
$1.5 million between the two of those.
I think that's a really good idea.
Matt, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot to digest.
Thank you, yes.
Thanks, Matt and Brittany.
No need for
Brittany,
Sam.
too.
Again,
Wow.
road salt, they're only
This is
using
good
that
stuff.
on
Thank you so
unincorporated
much.
road, on roads in the unincorporated.
Before we break too, could I request of Dirk that we get like a cut the fat, cut the muscle, cut down to the bone option? Like how Matt presented two options, it'd be interesting to see
what
what
I'm
three
asking for
options
as
would
well.
look like.
Exactly, I agree.
Cut till it hurts.
And what the executive department
And
feels
again,
like,
That grader that they.
you know, what is their proposed, tax
I don't know.
rate or height that we might have to have?
Yeah, because we all face the public, and I think the public views us as a, you know, working in connection and just looks at it as Cache County government. I don't think most people are separating, well, that's the executive and that's the, I think it's like up to us to figure out what we collectively want to propose.
Yep.
So that would help me if it's like, this version is like really cutting down to it, like we're eliminating positions, we're pushing away to, you know, equipment that's probably overdue, just to see what that looks like in the context of,
Yeah, because in the world,
if we go drastic.
in the world that our citizens are sitting in, there are some cutbacks going on in companies right
Right, and they're making those kind of decisions too. I think it's only fair that we at least consider something similar.
Okay, all right, does anyone have any other questions for Matt or Brittany or Amy tonight? It's been a great discussion with a lot to think about. We'll reconvene next week. And anybody that has any ideas or anything particular, please send them to Dirk. And I think that we'll move on from there. So I think we will, can I get a motion to adjourn?
now. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Didn't even ask for any opposition.